This is the secret to being consistent with working out. You see all these people on Instagram all the time that just seem to be consistent with working out, but we can't stick to it. It's so frustrating when we've been trying our absolute hardest to stick to a new routine and we just keep falling off the wagon. But there is nothing wrong with you. It's not your fault. You just need this strategy. So firstly, you need to carve out the time. And for a minute, I want to specifically talk to parents out there. This can seem like the hardest thing in the world. Maybe you've got so much going on and you have no idea where you can find the time to work out. At different stages of life, it's about priorities, what you can fit in. But another major thing that I see with women is that their partners have the freedom to go out and play golf for the day or go out with their friends, but their mothers don't feel like they can leave their kids. They have that major mum guilt, it feels selfish, and it's often the assumption that they shouldn't be going out and training at the gym for an hour when their kids are at home to look after. But I've got news for you. If your partner is allowed to do it, then so are you. They can look after the kids for an hour. They are perfectly capable. And you going to the gym, going for a walk, going to a spin class and finding something that works well for you is going to better your mental health and your physical health, and it will fill your cup and allow you to look after your kids even better. It is not selfish. And to those of you who have busy jobs as well, it's the same. It might seem like you have absolutely no time, but carving out a little slot in the day, even if it's just a 15 to 30 minute at-home workout with a kettlebell or something, it might make you feel so much better. Don't wait for the time to come around because it's not going to happen. We need to find space in our day and commit that to being our workout time. And that doesn't have to be every day. I would recommend to start with 2 to 3 days a week at the most. Even if you start with 1 day a week, that is gonna make a difference. Next, I need you to stop waiting for motivation. Motivation is fleeting and none of us actually have it. People assume that I'm super motivated all of the time, but I am not. In fact, 90% of the time, I don't want to go to the gym. I would much rather stay at home, drink a coffee, read a book, and snuggle up in a blanket. I don't want to be going into a cold gym, especially right now. So instead of relying on motivation, I rely on a routine. We've carved out that time where we can go to the gym and it's sticking to that. Even if it isn't doing the exact same thing every time. So maybe you don't go to the same class during that little time block that you've planned out, but maybe you do some form of exercise. So if you don't feel like going to the gym is something that you can do right now, then maybe you could walk instead. It's best to pick something aligned with your goals, and it's the best thing if you can turn up and do the thing that you plan to do. But if you can't, maybe do something a little bit smaller, and then you can always build from there. Consistency isn't necessarily going at 100% every single day, it's just consistently showing up. I've just done a really bad drawing of a graphic I saw a while ago, but this explains it really well. So your days might look like this. You might have some days where you barely do anything at all, and then on other days you do a lot, but this is still consistency. It's still the same as if they were half full every single day. You're still going to make progress even if you just do a little bit. And if you add that up across the year, you're going to make huge amounts of progress. And it doesn't have to be 1% every single day. Maybe some days it's like 0.5% and other days it's like 5%. You'll end up way further forward than if you try and make yourself give 100% every single day and then end up falling off the wagon somewhere in mid-February and then don't go back to it. Next, we need to make sure that the exercise that you're selecting is actually something you enjoy. And I don't mean it needs to be something that you enjoy straight away. Doing something new is going to be scary and you're going to feel apprehensive, you're going to feel nervous and anxious. It's going to be difficult. It's the same as starting a new job. Even if it's your absolute dream job, you might be totally terrified, and that's okay. We can be brave and show up anyway, but then you can keep showing up and testing the water and seeing if you enjoy it, re-evaluating the sports that you're doing and seeing if it's something that's going to be for you. If it's hating it and it feels like a punishment and it's not for you, that's probably not going to be something that you can be consistent with and carry on. And you're allowed to try so many different things. You could try rock climbing or swimming or a boxing class or CrossFit, functional training, bodybuilding. You could try anything. Don't be afraid to explore. And when we struggled with seeing exercise as a punishment, we often have an all or nothing mentality, thinking we're going to give it absolutely everything, and we give 100% those first couple of weeks. Maybe it does feel awful and we're seeing it as a punishment, or maybe you are actually enjoying it but you're making yourself go so much, and then a couple of weeks in something happens and you fall off the wagon and you don't get back on again. Instead of thinking of it like all or nothing, you could have a bare minimum week that you could default to if something gets in the way. And if you're just starting, start small. Don't start with this massive workout routine. Start with 1 or 2 days and then build from there. The same if you're just getting back to it after some time off. Just because you were used to training like 5 or 6 days in the past, it doesn't mean you can jump straight back into that. Your body needs time to adjust, and that's alright. And at different stages of our life or different times during the year, you might need to do a little bit less. You might find sometimes you can can do a little bit more, and it's listening to your body and adjusting it. And that is how we're going to be consistent and break that all or nothing mindset. Okay, next, I need you to ask yourself what actually fits around your life. Maybe you can't make the 5 p.m. gym class straight after work, but you could go for a walk in the morning, or you could go to a 24-hour gym where you could go slightly later on in the evening. You could possibly get a set of kettlebells or dumbbells and do something at home. Reduce your expectations of what is good enough. Whatever you can manage right now is absolutely fine, and you can always build up from there, but it's so much harder when you've been going super hard and you need to come back down. Inevitably, many of us might get bored of the routine that we're doing. It happens to me all of the time. I went through a phase of doing Olympic weightlifting, and I probably did about 6 months of that, and then I got bored and I realised that maybe I wanted to focus on cardio or improving my strict pull-ups for a little bit. Allow for change. Consistency doesn't have to be doing the same thing all of the time. If you've got goals that are based on progression in certain areas, like maybe you want to increase your back squat, you do need to be consistently back squatting. But if your goal is to just get generally fit and strong, you don't need as much of a focus. So you're allowed to bend your training with whatever your goals are. And speaking of goals, I wouldn't set them so far in the future. So in January, don't say I want to beat my max back squat, because you might halfway through the year get so bored of back squatting that you don't want to do it anymore, and then you won't reach that goal. You're totally allowed to change your goals, scrap your goals completely, and do something else. If your main aim is to be consistent with exercise, then just make that your goal. And if you're just a regular person and not a competitive athlete, and this is just something that you're doing for health and longevity, then it's totally okay to change things up. Think about your self-talk as well. You shouldn't be trying to beat yourself into submission, having a go at yourself for not being consistent, and just trying really hard to be more consistent. If you're not being consistent and something is going a bit out of whack, use that as a signal to analyze what you're doing. What needs to change? Do you need to ask for some help? Do you need some support from your partner or a relative so that they can look after the kids so you can go and work out? Do you need to look into a different gym that's maybe closer to your really busy job? Are you a student with loads of coursework? Maybe you need to alter your routine and fluctuate it with the busy periods and the less busy periods. Maybe exercise during a busy period could look like walking or jogging or something that's easy to fit in, a 15-minute home workout. And maybe when you've got so much time, then you can end up going back into the gym and absolutely smashing it and doing like an hour-long workout or more. Have compassion for yourself and work with what you can do right now. I'm currently working on a Fitness Journey Fresh Start digital pack of resources that you can use to help yourself be more consistent and start again and figure all of this out with a bit more guidance. When that's available, I'll link it in the description. If you enjoyed this video and you're wondering about my own fitness journey, you might want to watch this video next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!